Good evening and welcome back to the Mindful Model Makers Workshop. I'm still doing the final bits of this L-cut building. It's come on a little bit since perhaps you last see it. I've got a little platform on the inside of that now. There's some steps down. Don't know if I've done that on a video or not. You've got the bit going across here as well. And I have got now a loading winch on the side. Now, I deliberately made it folded against the wall, and the reason for that is because obviously a lot of the buildings on layouts that go to exhibitions and layouts that are kept at a model railway club are put away at the end of use, because obviously the venue that we use is a multi-purpose place. In fact, it's in the top of a church, so you have guides, brownies, various other things using it during the week, so you can't leave anything out for obvious reasons. So it all has to go away and fold up. Some of it folds. There are various bits and pieces. So I made the winch fixed in deliberately, because if it came out, it'd be out here, and I could imagine really what would happen over time. It would get knocked off. So hopefully where it is, it's pretty firm. I've done some bits and pieces to it. It's quite detailed. I'll see if I can move it in a bit. Now you can see the hook. What I did on that, I was going to use a bit of thread. There is a piece of thread coming down from the side and going onto the safety railing. I don't know, call it safety railing. In them days, there would just be something there. I mean, basically, the health and safety didn't exist. But I put a bit of railing there, and also to put the rope on that would pull the actual winch round so that you could use it. What I did, I was going to use the same kind of thread to go through the hook, and I couldn't do that. So what I got, 3 strands of wire. So I stripped a piece of wire. Here's the outer sheathing from that is there. I just took some wire, put 3 strands, wound them together, put them through the eye bit of the hook, pulled it through, came up a little bit and just twiddled it round, and that's it. And then I just cut a length and just glued it onto the pulley wheel. So yeah, that's how I did that bit. And then I just super glued a little bit of thread there and wrapped it round here and put it there as though it would tie. The idea is when the guys want the winch, they get hold of this rope and they pull it round until it comes round to where they want it. And then, because this side is mainly for just hoisting up sacks. What's in the sacks, I don't really know. Could be flour, something like that. But this is all kind of a warehouse, a multi-purpose warehouse. It will have all sorts of things. I'll show you some other bits that are going to go on there a bit later. What I'm going to do at the moment, I'm going to paint and tidy this up. So you might actually see me do something, which I know is quite rare. But yeah, so today I went out and I got... This is for another project. That's for my Class 33 I'm building. SM302, which is it's a kind of a half matte, half gloss, half matte. So it's a semi-matte, which is really nice for buffers and buffer beams that need to be black. It's just got that, and the bogies are going to be painted that colour. I mean, I am now digressing a little bit more. I did that earlier on. There is a video on for that, so if you want to see that, that's on. Right, what we're going to do now is we're just going to I think actually I'll paint the grey first. So I'll get my little mixing pot. Now, as you know, I go to the works. A mixing pallet at the works like that is £1. I mean, you can wash it out each time, or you can just keep going over the top of stuff like I do. Whatever you want to do, really. I think that will come back again, I think. So I'm going to do that. Get my piece of cloth. Yeah, so all I'm going to do is redo the floor in there. It's had one coat. I'll just give it another coat, and that's it. We've decided to do the floor a grey colour to Just get that about right. Like so. Get a brush. Nice brush, that one's quite nice. We've got some water, just wet that up a little bit. And then give it a good stir around. So I use a lot of things in the works. The paints, acrylic paints. If you're doing scenery and things, or you could be doing like people, things like that, you can get different lots of colours. So if you go out and buy tins of, say, enamel, and you're going to paint something, you're going to want lots. Whereas with this, you can have a dozen tubes and make, well, as many colours as you want out of that, and variations of the colour. That's why I use it. And for this type of modelling, I think it's just right. You can do a bit of weathering with it as well. It's I've got weathering powders, I've got liquids that I can spray on with an airbrush, all sorts of things like that. So I'm just going to mix this up, get it a reasonable grey colour. Then what I need to do is to paint over that bit in there, which is a part of the original stonework. So I'm just going to paint that like so. I think you can see what I'm doing here. Yeah. Because I can't see what I'm doing and doing it at the same time. So I'm just going to rely on the fact that, yes, you can see. So just try and gently go along there and repaint this bit in. It doesn't have to be perfect, because obviously it wouldn't be clean and perfect, I wouldn't have thought, because one, it's on the outside of the building, so it'd be open to all the elements. This is, I've just made up that kind of balcony out of pieces, because these L-cut, they come with lots of bits, so it does enable you to use your imagination and make other parts. So, or sometimes I just get a piece of card and I'll make a bit. Because what I'm going to do on the inside is I'm just going to, where windows are, I'm probably just going to put a bit at the back behind the window. Now I'm going to turn this round because I want to go inside to paint this bit here. So you can probably see this bit now that I'm painting. I'll come round like that and you should be able to see that. It's not going to look pretty inside, but it's only going to be viewed. This piece dropping down at the back goes against the baseboard and the backdrop of the baseboard, because it's a little bit higher. Because obviously we've made this low relief, it just looks a bit better having the grey at the back. So you can't see in, and the other thing, it doesn't let any light in at the back either. So that's what that's for. So this doesn't have to be good, because the only bits you're going to see really are the bits that are in view through the open door. And then what I'm going to do later, when this is dry, I went onto eBay and I purchased from a guy, don't know who he is, some sacks, barrels, boxes, oil drums and various bits. They were just an odd assortment of what was obviously left over from a project that he'd done. Right, so now you can look through into there and you can see a grey floor. And that's it. That's how I'm going to leave that like that. Don't think we need to put any more on there like that. When that dries, it'll be quite flat. And then it will have sacks and various other bits and pieces put onto it, where they're all stacked round. What I'll do is stack some on the inside, so when you look through the door, you'll see a kind of a row of sacks and various bits. So it just adds to the detail of that. Right, so that bit's now done. I can wash my brush off, get my trusty cloth, which is an old J cloth. And the good thing about acrylic, of course, you can just use water. You don't have to buy an expensive brush cleaner to clean your brush with. If you really want, it's not cheap. I think they're about £8 to £10 now. The Revell Patina Clean. It says brush cleaner. It's very potent. Now that's my reserve one. I have one that I've had here, and I've probably used that for about 2 years. And we're getting through it, and it still works. So I think that's quite a good investment. It is quite powerful. What you have to be careful of, if you dip your paintbrush in too far, you will find that it takes the paint off the wood here. I've got several brushes. Got one here, I think. Yep, there's one. Like that. You can see that. It just melts that paint. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't do it any harm. The brush is still nice, but it does clean your brush out. And that's for, obviously, for oil-based paints. And where do I get that? I get that from Hobbycraft, actually. It's they do a lot of Revell stuff in there. Yeah. Right, what we're going to do now is just touch the fence in a bit, because I gave it a rough paint earlier on, but obviously it just needs a little bit cleaning in. Some of this I might weather up slightly when I finish it. It won't be heavy weathering, but there may be a little bit that goes on. So that's that. Have a look there. Yeah, we need a bit down there, like so. Like so. That'll do. Right, now the only bit that I think doesn't look right, the blue kind of rope. So I'm going to try and make that brown. Whether it'll work or not, I ain't got a clue, but we will give it a go and see what happens on that bit. So let's get some brown. I think there's a darkish brown anyway. So we'll just try that on its own. It's a bit of a reddy brown though, that one. Don't like that too much. Go for a lighter brown, just to see what that does. Might be a bit orangey, really. Just put a bit of black in that, can I? Bring it down a bit, see what happens. Black in there, like that. Just dirty it up a bit. Yeah, it might be about right. Right, let's just put a bit of that on there. Yep. And that's just taken that blueness off of that bit of thread. Made it look a little bit better, I think. You can just put that on there like that. Where it goes across there. That's it. Like that. Right, I think that will do for that. Then all I need is a bit of silver just on the end of that hook. And that will finish that bit off then. The actual, I'll show you in a minute how I made. What I do is when I cut out the laser cut stuff, I keep all the little offcuts. I'm going to see if I've still got an offcut here. I might still have stuff in here. No, I've got this offcut. So I wanted to make some angle brackets. So what I did, I cut there and I cut there, and that gave me a bracket. So I got a piece with 4 bits in, and I made 4 of them. And then what I did, painted them, and I glued them underneath a piece of flat board, and that is what has made those angle brackets. So they're kind of like, in those days, wrought iron, and I will probably make some 4 little lines going down the wall with some dusting powders as to where it's rusted and gone down. So that's how I made them. Just very simple, flat bit of board. It was an offcut of the actual stuff that this is made of, which is kind of a very thin ply, and then cut them 4 corners, stuck them on, and they are the angle brackets that supports the loading platform. So that's how I made those. So they didn't cost anything, and that's why I keep lots of the offcuts of the laser cut stuff. So I'm just going to have a swig of tea, because then, you know, it stops you having to make that all I've got to do is cut those 4 corners out, and I've got 4 L brackets, which you know, I think that's probably how it would have looked. I don't really know, but I think it is resembling what we want. Right, silver paint, I've got that. So there we are, metallic 11. It's an enamel, Humbrol. I tend to buy literally a lot of my paints off of YouTube now, because I find if you buy a few cans, it keeps the postage down, because you've got to buy 1 tin. By the time you pay the postage on that, it makes the paint quite expensive. So my advice is buy at least half a dozen tins. Think of some colours that you may be using, or just a bank of colours that you use quite a bit. Now I use all sorts of things for stirring. This is an old dentist prod. The points have gone off it, but I've had this for years. What's the other thing I use? Oh yeah, I've got a scriber here, which I use as well. Anything for stirring the paint. Little screwdrivers. If you get a little screwdriver, the good thing about that, it's got the flat bit to open the can with. So yeah. But the secret with paints, especially a lot of these modern ones, I don't know, they're different. They say they're enamel and all the rest of it. I don't know whether it's the same type of thing as it used to be. And I always put a little bit in the lip of the can. I've always done that. It's probably not a good practice. Should keep the tin clean, but that's how I've done it, because you tend to get the thicker bit of paint in there. And I expect there's quite a few modelers that do exactly the same as me. But it's something I've done for years. So now all I'm doing is just putting a bit of silver on this hook, like so. Just to give that a bit of detail as well. Let's see if we've got that all the way around. A bit more on there. That's it, like that. Put a bit on there. That's it. Right, I think I'm going to call that it on that bit. So then, I'll tell you what we could do while we're at it. We could put a bit more grey down on that lower floor. I better use my paint container that I got, because a certain person will be quite cross that I bought a thing to tidy my paints up and I haven't used it. He'll know who he is. So yeah, because I still tend to. I bought two more tins of paint today, but I've actually run out of any room to put them in the rack. But it doesn't matter. I think by the time I've painted the bogies, a couple of coats on that Gauge 1 Loco, I don't think there'll be a great deal of paint left anyway. But there we are. It was just nice to go in there and find a colour exactly what I wanted. Right, we are now just going to put some more grey inside here. Just make sure you can see, which you can. There's a little bit there, and I don't want that bit. Let's get rid of that. That's it there, like so. And then what I do, I turn it round and do it from the inside. That's it. So all I've done is make a little platform inside. It doesn't need to be really bigger than that, because looking through the front, you're not really going to see much more. So I just need a bit of paint. And this was all just made out of scraps of the material that comes with this. So I just made up, this is the actual platform for the floor. So I used the proper piece for that. Up the other end there wasn't enough to do that, so I just got an ordinary piece of wood and done that, like so. So there we are. But what I will do on the inside is, where you can see these windows are, I will just make a bit that comes out and goes along. And on the other side of it, I will just paint that, and I'll paint a bit down that wall. So when you look through the window, you'll see the wall. Otherwise you'll see right through to the back. So that's all I'm going to do, which is a bit of cheating really. But I'm just going to make a bit that goes across so that you can't. In this corner, I will probably make a bit that comes out here and then goes round to there to block that off as one room. That might be an office or something that's up there, accounts office or something like that. Yes. So there we are. So that's the floors done. Right, now I'll show you what I did to, let's put that back round a bit so you can see that still. Right, I'll show you a trick. It's not a brilliant thing, but it's for quickness. Right, I just keep an old plastic container like this. And what I did, I just fill it with all the bits and pieces that I want to spray. I only need really a light covering. It's just a white primer. And I spray it on. It doesn't go on both sides, but a lot of this you're not going to see both sides. I'm not really bothered. But it's enough on there to take the acrylic paint when I want to start painting something that looks like a sack or whatever. So then I just take it down. I've got an aerosol can. I'll give it a quick spray, leave it, move them about a bit, give it another quick spray, and then that's more or less sufficient. There's enough on there in the right place for me then to just put an acrylic paint over that. I've got some more bits here, bigger bits, which are going to go on there, and there they are there. Okay, so I'll kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen, because obviously these got to be painted. So there's a bit of time in order to get that going. But the sacks, which are in there, let's get a few out if we can. Half a dozen of them a day. 2, 3, 4. That's it. So the sacks will be painted, and then I can just put them on. I'll kind of glue them up there somehow, so that they're standing propped up, and then you can see what's kind of come up, things like that. So yeah, so a lot of them will be at the back. I might glue some of these against a card and then put the card on the back of the platform, so that when you look in you can see a row of sacks against the wall. So it might make it look more than what there is, but that's really what this is about now. The other bit, let's see if I can do this actually. From inside, I'll put some boxes, kind of build them up, and then we'll have a look in a minute what it looks like. I'll put them in first, and then that was what you call roll out the barrel. It did roll out actually. So there we are, that can go on there, that can go on there. So you can see the inside. Right, I'll gently try and move that without it all falling down. I'll take that off before it does fall down. Right, let's see if you can see in there. Yeah, you kind of can. I'm going to try and lift that if I can, without toppling it too much. There we are. So inside you can see the boxes. Now they'll be painted obviously a brown and that, but so when you look in from the front of that, you will see boxes piled up in there, one or two other little bits and pieces, so that will give you what it'll look like. So yeah, and then on the outside here there'll be a couple of boxes. There's some cable drums, various bits. They'll be painted up appropriately, and I've got a kind of an old-fashioned type of sack barrow, which will have like wooden handles, and they used to have, I think, like metal kind of plates on to stop the stuff falling through if you got something small that would fall through. So you know, you might put a, seeing as it's a sack barrow, it'd be good to have a sack on it, wouldn't it really? But there you are. So that kind of thing. And I've got a few people as well. I'm not going to overdo it with stuff, but it's just to give it more depth really. And then I'm going to go round, and I have got the foam type green grass type stuff, and put little bits in here and there as to where it's grown, and kind of liven it up, and then use some probably dusting powders to just dust down perhaps round the guttering bits where it's leaked a bit, and that kind of thing, and that will put the finishing touches. So that's where I've got with the L-cut building. I've enjoyed making it. It is very good. I'd 100% recommend it. And the other thing, what I like about it, there's no real set thing of what to build. You build what you want. I would like to get a ghost type of transfer of an advert or something to go on this wall there. So that's something I'm looking for, and I think that would set it off nicely. But I'm getting near to the end of this now, and obviously I'll show you the finished product and you can judge for yourself. But I think it's something that you can really use your imagination. You think, right, I think that's what a warehouse looks like. I think this is along the lines of what a warehouse would look like from that kind of era. I can't remember kind of what era they're modelling. I think it's kind of mid to late 50s, early 60s, I think is the theme of the layout. So yeah, I think that would go quite well with that. I mean, I've got pallets. I'm not sure when pallets came out, so I'm not putting pallets on it because I don't think pallets were invented. I don't remember them, but that doesn't mean to say they didn't exist. But yeah, so there we are on that one. So there's the bits. You can see the bits just inside the door there. So I think it's coming together really well. And like I say, I really enjoyed making it. So that's it for this video. If you like it. If you want to subscribe. There are all the other bits going back to the beginning on this. The videos are on here. So you can just go in and find L-cut on my, I think they're all in the same heading, and you can go back through and watch them from the start up to this point, which obviously is the whole idea of it. So it's a step by step, but you don't have to follow me. I mean, my techniques are literally my techniques. I don't confess to be the best modeler in the world. I just am a modeler that models, because there's lots of people that talk about modeling and never do a lot. I do a lot. It might not be the best though. That's the only thing. But I do get satisfaction out of it. And I hope you get some from watching what I do, even if it's just a laugh. I don't mind if you laugh as well, because that means it's worthwhile, because laughter is good for you anyway. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video. And yeah. Just carry on modelling, and I will, and I'll show you what I do for the next bit. Thank you very much. Bye now.